Hey friends, it's me, your girl, Kristen Denise, also known as KD, here with our second entry for this 8th day of Black History Month. I had to do 2 today because I couldn't do one yesterday because life be life and stuff be happening. I just couldn't do it, so I didn't get done, but I still wanted to do it because we're going to have at least 28 people that we acknowledge and recognize during this Black History Month that we don't normally talk about, but that we absolutely should. You feel me? So, as always, I'm excited about this person. And there was actually one fact I should have checked. I'm gonna figure it out. I think this person's birthday is actually today. But we're gonna talk about another amazing woman who was an educator in her own right, but that was not her primary field. We're talking about Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, who was born in 1831 and transitioned in 1895, and she was the first Black woman physician in the United States. Yes, Dr. Crumpler. So, Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler broke barriers as the first Black woman in the United States to earn a medical degree. Okay, she was born in Delaware and raised in Pennsylvania, and she obviously overcame intense racial and gender discrimination to become a physician at a time when Black people and women were often denied access to higher education in general, let alone such prestigious professional careers. So she dedicated her life and work to caring for underserved communities, particularly Black women and children. She combined her medical expertise with a strong sense of compassion and social justice, and her contributions laid the groundwork for future generations of Black women in medicine. Because, hello, she was the first to do it, and she was a baddie while she did it, okay? So a couple of her key accomplishments. Again, she was the first Black woman to earn a medical degree, which she received in 1864 when she graduated from New England Female Medical College in Boston, becoming the first Black woman to achieve this milestone. At the time, there were fewer than 300 women physicians in the country in general. And obviously no other Black woman, she was the first one, had even been admitted to medical school at this time. So she definitely was a pioneer in the medical field. She faced extreme racism and sexism from both peers and broader society, but she persevered and she completed that degree. Get it, sis. She provided medical care to freed people after the Civil War. So when the Civil War ended in 1865, she moved to Richmond, Virginia, where she worked with the Freedmen's Bureau to provide medical care to newly freed African Americans. She treated formerly enslaved people who had little to no access to health care. She focused on women and children, addressing the unique health challenges they faced in post-slavery conditions. And she still did all of this while working in an environment of hostility from both white Southerners and male medical professionals who questioned her credentials. As if sis was not qualified. We know she was qualified. This matters because her work was literally life-saving. Many freed people faced rampant disease. Remember, they had just come off the plantation, malnutrition, and injuries with no access to even the basics of healthcare. She believed that access to healthcare was a human right. Why are we still having this argument today, y'all? Rebecca knew this in the 1800s. Why are we acting like we don't know this in 2025? That was an aside, but let me get back to what I was saying. It was a belief that was radical at the time, but it still remains a core principle of public health today. She also was super dope because she authored a book called A Book of Medical Discourses in 1883. She published the Book of Medical Discourses, making her one of the first Black physicians to write a medical text. The book focused on preventative care and health education, particularly for mothers and children, provided practical advice on managing illnesses and promoting wellness in underserved communities, and combined medical knowledge with a deep understanding of social conditions, because intersectionality, affecting Black communities. This book served as an educational tool for families who couldn't afford medical care or didn't have access to physicians, and it was a groundbreaking contribution to medical literature, particularly in the field of public health. Dr. Crumpler was out here doing the dang thing. And finally, she was an advocate, a huge advocate for health equity and public health. She didn't just treat patients, she was an advocate for systemic change in the healthcare system. She recognized that health disparities were tied to what? Racism, poverty, and lack of education. And she fought to address these root causes. She advocated by speaking out against the discrimination she personally faced in the medical field as a Black woman and a doctor. She pushed for access to health care for marginalized communities long before public health was recognized as a field. And she mentored other Black women who were interested in medicine, paving the way for future generations of Black female physicians, to put them in a better position. See how that works? So here are a couple things we can take from Dr. Crumpler and apply them to our lives today. One, she completed her medical degree at a time when society told Black women they didn't belong in professional fields. She faced racism, sexism, and doubt at every turn, but she refused to give up. She was absolutely a barrier breaker, even when the odds were against her, and we should be too. When you're pursuing your goals, expect obstacles. It just is what it is. Like I said, life be life in. But don't let them define you. Whether you're entering a male-dominated field, fighting against stereotypes, or facing discrimination, remember Dr. Crumpler's example. Your persistence can pave the way for others. So don't let a lack of representation discourage you. Instead, be the representation for the next generation. Hello? 2, remember, healthcare is a human right. Dr. Crumpler believed in providing care to those who were most marginalized, even when it wasn't popular or easy. From her, we learned that access to healthcare should not depend on race, income, or social status. Again, why are we still having this conversation? Crumpler's work reminds us to advocate for health equity and fight against disparities in the healthcare system, of which there are many, and honestly, of which Black women and children suffer most. We can apply this today by supporting policies and organizations that promote universal healthcare access and advocate for better healthcare in underserved communities. Also, remember, as always, education and knowledge are tools of empowerment. Dr. Crumpler didn't just treat patients, she educated them. She believed that giving people the knowledge to care for themselves and their families was just as important as treating their illnesses. We have to remember that knowledge absolutely is power. Education is critical, regardless of our fields. And whether in healthcare or education or any other field, sharing what you can and what you know can empower others to improve their lives. Like, that is of critical importance. We need to use our skills and knowledge to uplift our communities, whether that means mentoring, teaching, or simply sharing information with those who need it. Shout out to Human Talk. And finally, resilience in the face of adversity. Dr. Crumpler worked in hostile environments, faced discrimination from her peers, and dealt with the constant challenges of being a Black woman in medicine in the 1800s. But she never gave up. Resilience isn't about never struggling. It's about continuing despite the struggle. Dr. Crumpler's life teaches us that you don't have to wait for perfect conditions to make an impact. And whether we're facing personal, professional, or societal challenges, we have to remind ourselves that perseverance absolutely can lead to lasting change. Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler wasn't just the first Black woman physician. She was a pioneer in public health, an advocate for health equity, and a role model for resilience and perseverance. Her work went beyond treating patients. She fought for more just and equitable healthcare system and used her knowledge to empower others. Her legacy challenges us to pursue our goals with determination, advocate for justice in our communities, and use our knowledge to uplift others. Because, otherwise, what is this all about? In a world struggling with healthcare disparities currently and systemic racism, let's call a thing a thing. Dr. Crumpler's life remains a powerful example of how one person can make a lasting impact. And I'll have hiccups. What's your one thing? What's your field? Where can you share your knowledge? Where do you need to keep persisting even though it's challenging? Where can you become a possibility model for those coming behind you? Today, let's learn from Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler and all that she did, facing seemingly insurmountable odds to become that first Black female physician to write that medical text and to exist in a world that told her her existence should not be. Stick it to the man today by doing all the things that people tell you you can't do in ways that they don't believe that you're capable, and making sure that you make your goals and dreams your reality. And then once you reach your goals and dreams, do everything you can to reach back to empower and to educate others. So as always, do what you need to do to be more than okay, because you deserve to be more than okay. And absolutely do what you need to do to live a life you love, because you deserve to live a life you love. And that is the end of day 8 of Black History Month. Shout out again to Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler and to our earlier submission, Maria Stewart, for all that they did to empower, uplift, encourage, and advance the Black community. And let's keep their legacies going by doing our part today. All right. Love you. Bye.